it's something that I feel that I'll actually have a lot of control over, rather than getting up every day at like 8 o'clock in the morning, driving over to somewhere, and having to sit down at a cubicle for like 9 to 5. You know, music is something that allows me to actually have more creative control over my life. And will I still have the possibility to do some of that stuff? Maybe. But at least if I pursue a career with music, I won't be limited just to that one particular aspect.
I was very young, and there was a piano in my house. And apparently, when I was 5 and 6, I would never get off the piano. So finally my parents decided to get me piano lessons, and the rest is kind of that story. I just stayed with the piano the rest of the time. It's a gift that I've been very lucky to have in my life, having the piano, having music, having the opportunity to perform and to play, and to be able to share that gift with other people has really made a big difference. It's great to teach a student a new piece of music and to have them fall in love with the music just as much as I love the music. It's great when the song actually clicks for them and they can figure out what they're doing. It's just really, it's a lot of fun. And it's a lot of fun with the music appreciation class as well. Having them like a composer or like a piece of music, or it's just fun to share.
My main activities are as a conductor of choruses and orchestras. I'm a singer, I'm a piano player. That's my main activity.
The advice I would give students is this.
Practice.
Practice. Practice, yes. Practice, learn as much music as you can, work on your technique.
Don't give up. Like the Saints this year, we did well. That phrase, finish strong, I think is one of the most important things. You never know what life is going to throw at you, and as a musician or as a person or anything else. And I think it's just so important that you stick to it. Half of life is not just showing up, but finishing what you start. And I think that with music at least, that's one of the things that is constant. You're always learning. You're never going to learn it all, and you can never hope to learn it all. And so that's a lifelong quest. I mean, here at Delgado, we try to make sure that our students really understand our new paradigm of lifelong learning and what it is to learn outside of the classroom and everything else. And music really lends itself to that.
So anybody who wants to make a living at music, if they're really willing to work, who can't do it. But if you're in love with the idea of somehow being a musician or being famous, if you don't like the work, you're in the wrong business.
Expose yourself to different styles of music, to different periods of music, so you have a well-rounded background, and you know, as many things you can do to make yourself a better musician, whether it's theory lessons, theory classes, music history, practicing, learn other instruments, do everything you can to make yourself a well-rounded musician. That's my best advice.
I can go around, travel, which is another big thing for me, and I get to meet a whole bunch of people, just a big old networking thing that really captures me as well. So that's pretty much my thing. I love to travel, I love music, so when I do both.
Any funny stories in using?
Like what? Let's see. What kind of? Well, I'll tell a metronome story. So the hardest things for students to do sometimes is to play in tempo, and we typically ask them to use a metronome in order to practice to stay in tempo. And one of the friends that I worked with, or one of my students, told her to practice with a metronome, and all of a sudden her metronome disappeared. So she's looking for the metronome, and she finds out that she was, like months later, she was out in the yard mowing the yard in the back, and apparently her dog had a problem with the metronome and had buried it in the backyard because the dog could not stand the metronome. So there you go.
I went around the globe about 3 times, so it was a lot of traveling. And somehow I never lost sight of my true goal was to become a composer. To me, that's the most fascinating thing about that. I don't know about a favorite because every place I've been to just had a unique experience, anywhere from Korea to Saudi Arabia, Japan, United States. I guess you would say Europe. I spent a lot of time in Germany and France, and there's so much history and there's so much to learn there. But actually, in thinking about this, if I did have a favorite place, I guess it would be New Orleans. Not the fact that I live here. One of the things I did learn by being away is everybody wanted to know about New Orleans. And at first, I found this very strange. And the reason it was because this was where jazz had come from. And there was so much culture and so much history here. So I never forget when I first got back in the States, the first thing that I did was come back and walk through the French Quarter and walked around the city. Because now I really understood this place in terms of, the French owning it, the Spanish owning it, the African slaves that were here, the free people of color that were here, the music that was coming from Cuba, that was coming from Haiti, that was coming from Africa, and all of that was being churned up here into what we call gumbo and produced jazz. So I think this would be my favorite place, New Orleans. You do all of this traveling, and this is a thing my teacher told me a long time ago. You may travel all around the world, but you'll always want to come back here. And I didn't really believe that until I had traveled, and I wound up coming right back to New Orleans.